It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you, so let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Would you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor? Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
And welcome to Storytime for I Am Mr. Rogers. You heard it right. We are doing Storytime with Brad. It is back. Come on, did you really think we weren't going to do the intro to the show? We got the sweater, we got the hair, we got the book. It's I Am Mr. Rogers. It's our new one. And get ready. This is also in honor of Riff. Reading is fundamental. You remember, you love it. And we are going to have some fun with it today. And this is with my favorite author and my favorite illustrator, Chris Eliopoulos, our amazing artist as always. You ready to read I Am Mr. Rogers? Because here we go. And I've been waiting so long to do this book, by the way. So as you heard, it starts, of course, with the song. We had to start with the song. Every other I Am book starts, I am, whoever the name is, I am Rosa Parks, I am Dr. King, I am Amelia Earhart. But this one we started with the song. And then after you sing the song, hi neighbor, I am Mr. Rogers. I grew up in a town called Latrobe, Pennsylvania. It was a small town with a real trolley. There it is. The kind of place where everyone knew their neighbors. Hi there. Hi, neighbor. Hi, Fred, everyone says. Look at this number, by the way. Look for the 143 in the book. You'll see why. When I was little, I wasn't popular. I was shy and didn't like sports. Bullies would call me names. One day, as I was walking home, I had a feeling that I was being followed. And look how nervous he is. He starts running. Sure enough, some boys were behind me. I started walking faster. And they started walking faster, getting closer and louder. Freddie, hey, Freddie, we're going to get you, Freddie. See how scared he is. I was mad at those kids and felt bad that they couldn't see me as anything but shy and weak. I cried in my room a lot. See how sad he is. Look how sad. I was scared of many things like going to the doctor and being alone and starting school. I don't want to go. He used to say, Freddie, you have to. You got to start school. I once ordered an exercise kit to give me big muscles. It didn't work. You can see him working out there. But you see, there's nothing wrong with being scared. It's all right to feel how you're feeling. I was also sick a lot as a kid with diseases like scarlet fever and asthma. Stuck in bed by myself, I used my toys and make up stories. I pretend my knees were mountains. And he'd say, I can make it to the summit. And then the adventure would begin. I'd enter my world of make-believe. And then there he'd say, almost at the summit. Eventually, I added puppets and even had my own puppet theater in our attic. It had a real stage where I'd entertain family and friends. Telling those make-believe stories made me feel so much better. He's really good at this. Look at him telling those stories. Something else that helped me when I was worried or sad was music. My dad and I would parade through the house, banging and strumming away on our instruments. You can see them there like that. See how they're banging away, playing? Music is the one art we all have inside. We may not be able to play an instrument, but we can all sing along or tap our feet. I wasn't the type of kid who asked for much, but when I was 10, I asked my grandmother for a real piano. And she says, Nana, I really would like it. She says, maybe you should go and visit the piano store. So I took the trolley by myself to downtown Pittsburgh. For hours, I played every piano in the store. And finally, he said, this is the one. And the guy says, are you sure you can afford this? It was a secondhand 1920 Steinway. The next day, the salesperson couldn't believe it when I came back with a check from my grandmother. My Nana says, hi, and gives him the money. That's how he gets his first piano. That piano changed my life, giving me confidence and comfort. But it wasn't just the piano that my grandmother gave me. It was love It sounds wonderful, Freddie, she says. It was the same with my grandfather, Fred McFeely, whom I was named after. He'd teach me about the world and myself, and after each visit, he'd say to me, Freddie, you made this day so special for me. He helped me realize how valuable every human being is, including myself. Isn't that beautiful? The love from a grandparent is so special. I love this piece of art that Chris drew here. It really is. My grandfather was special to me too, and my grandmother. Love is at the root of everything, all learning and teaching and relationships. My parents, especially my mom, taught me the value of sharing that love with others. When she heard that a student couldn't afford new shoes, she bought him brand new high tops. Wow, new sneakers, where'd they come from? And the nurse says, a caring neighbor. Over time, the school nurse would order coats, eyeglasses, even furniture, and send the bills to my mom, who never took credit. Wouldn't it be great if love like that was shown to all kids? Every Christmas, she'd make new sweaters for everyone in our family. She had all these different patterns. She said, I know what you want, Freddie. You want the one with the zipper right up front. I feel like this will be important later. When I would see scary things in the news as a boy, my mother would repeat one of life's great lessons. Look for the helpers. Right? We know that. Look for the helpers. You'll always find people who are helping. My senior year of high school, I saw something that changed my life. Television. Whoa, he says. The show I was watching had people throwing pies at each other. And he says, isn't it great? I'm not so sure about that. He didn't really like pies being thrown. I couldn't understand why this new device was being used to make fun of people, when it could instead be such a wonderful tool for education. But there was one thing I knew for sure. I wanted to work in television. My first job was in New York at NBC. One of the stars used to talk directly to the camera. Howdy, young whippersnappers. And that's Gabby Hayes. And he said, I asked him how he connected to his audience when they weren't in the studio and he couldn't see them. And he'd look right at the camera, right? And he used to explain it to me. He said, I'd focus on one little buckaroo. I'd think of talking just to one of them, one little buckaroo. My real break came when a Pittsburgh TV station, WQED, said they wanted to do an educational show for children. This was my chance to bring together all the things I love, music, my imagination, and of course, entertainment for kids. You left the big city to come here? And he says, and his girlfriend, Joanne, became his wife, says, I have a good feeling about this. The night before the first episode, which we called the Children's Corner, our station manager, Dorothy Daniel, gave every staff member a little gift. And he said, this is for you, Freddie. This is for you. I can't wait to see what it is. It was a little tiger puppet. Oh my goodness. You know this tiger. I heard you like puppets. She says, I do. Thank you. I named the puppet Daniel after the person who gave it to me, right? Dorothy Daniel. That's where Daniel Tiger comes from. On our first episode, while trying to do a movie, the old film strip, it broke. Oh my gosh. They're like, oh my gosh, the film broke. Fred, do something. The movie isn't working. What should I do? He says. I don't know, but we're live. Do something. I grabbed the tiger puppet and I shoved it through the scenery, which was painted like a clock. He says, I hope this works. And he says, uh-oh, it's 5:02. And you can see right there coming through. That was the first time I spoke through Daniel Tiger on the air. I never planned to use puppets on the show. I was just filling time. One day when our host Josie was having a bad day, she turned to the puppet and she said, I'm so upset. And Daniel said, well, why don't you just tell me about it? As she shared her feelings, something amazing happened. Remember, it's okay to feel sad sometimes, Daniel says. She says, thank you, Daniel. I feel so much better. On the show, we started focusing on these puppet conversations, giving us a way to talk directly to kids like you. It was like a make-believe conversations that I used to have as a kid. But now thousands of kids, they were all listening. As I ran around backstage during each episode, my shoes kept squeaking and they'd say, shh, your shoes are making noise. And then when he's changing his shoes, I said, why are you changing your shoes? And he says, these are sneakers with rubber soles, are less squeaky. I feel like this is also going to be important later. In 1963, after I'd spent 8 years doing puppets and playing music on the Children's Corner, a man named Dr. Fred Rainsbury asked if I would be the one who's on the air, the star of the show. I don't know, Fred says. I'm kind of shy. Don't worry, just look into the camera and pretend you're talking to a child. At first, the show was called Mr. Rogers, but eventually we picked a better name. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. You know this one. I filled it with so much of my life. A small town, a clanging trolley, clang clang. Kind neighbors, Mr. McFeely, named after his grandfather, there he is. Music and make-believe, and here's Lady Elaine, who's named after his sister. That's where Lady Elaine comes from. And of course, what else was there? The message that you and all children out there are valued. I love this part. It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair, but it's you I like. This is my friend, Jeff Erlinger. He's one of my neighbors here. You can see him in his wheelchair. I wanted you to see his wheelchair. Isn't it amazing? I love that we get to see Jeff's wheelchair. I spoke to kids directly so they could understand that it's okay to feel however they're feeling, even if it's excited, sad, angry, or scared. For 31 seasons and nearly 900 episodes, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood also taught kids to accept everyone, no matter their difference. This is an important show. It says, back in the 1960s, when I heard that black people weren't allowed to swim in the same pools as white people, I invited Officer Clemens to come to my pool. And Officer Clemens says, I don't have a towel. He says, it's okay. You'll share mine. Officer Clemens was one of the first recurring black characters on children's TV. The actor Francois was surprised when I asked him to be a police officer on the show. But I told him that children need helpers, and I knew he'd be such a wonderful role model. I love this part. When President Nixon tried to cut funding for my TV channel, PBS, I went to Washington, D.C., and I spoke to Congress. We asked for $20 million to help grow national public television, but the senator in charge didn't seem to agree. Then I told him what I do on my show, and these are the actual words that Mr. Rogers says to Congress. I give an expression of care every day to each child to help him realize that he is unique. I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day just by being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are. And the congressman, this is true, said back to him, this is him, you can see him. This is exactly what he said. Well, I'm supposed to be a pretty tough guy, and this is the first time I've had goosebumps for the last 2 days. Looks like you just earned $20 million. That's literally how Mr. Rogers got the funding. And here's my favorite part. In my life, I was shy and sad and sometimes even mad. Have you ever felt that way? It's okay. We all have moments when we feel blue. But when we talk about our feelings, they become less upsetting and less scary. And it says, growing up, because it goes from here to here. Growing up, I used to think that being strong meant having big muscles. But real strength comes from what is not seen. Real strength comes from helping others. When you do, you'll build the most beautiful neighborhood. And did you know Mr. Rogers' red sweater is now in a Smithsonian museum? It's one of the ones that his mom made for him. She made a new one every year for him for 60 years. Eventually, the boy in the wheelchair, Jeff Erlinger, grew up. And when Mr. Rogers was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame, Erlinger surprised him on stage saying, and this is what he said, when you tell people that it's you I like, we know that you really mean it. And tonight I want to let you know that on behalf of millions of children and grown-ups, it is you that I like. This book gets me. It's such a good feeling to know we're lifelong friends. And as you grow older, I hope you'll be a helper. You can help by sharing your kindness with others and showing them love. The greatest thing we can do is to let people know that they are loved and capable of loving. Thank you for spending this time with me. You are a very special person. There is only one you in the whole world. There's never been anyone like you before, and there never will be again. I am Mr. Rogers, and I like you just the way you are. And of course, here's the real Fred Rogers in the end. With one of my favorite quotes, he says, there are 3 ways to ultimate success. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. The third way is to be kind. And here he is with his puppets and the kids that he used to teach. And here's the thing about Mr. Rogers, is I wouldn't be here today without him. When I was a little kid, just your age, Mr. Rogers and Jim Henson used to tell me every day that I could use my creativity to put good into the world. And that's all we're ever trying to do. So next year, we're going to celebrate 10 years of the Ordinary People Change the World books. And I'm just going to say thank you, thank you, thank you for this. And he's right. There's no one like you. Never before and never again. So have a great one from us. We really so appreciate you. And we love you, neighbor. Take care.
Every one of us wants to know that we're a lovable person. We've just got that inside of us. And when we can know it for sure, it's such a good feeling. It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling. You're growing inside, and when you wake up ready to say, I think I'll make a snappy new day. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling. The feeling you know that I'll be back when the day is new, and I'll have more ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too. We will have things to talk about and things to do. I'll be back next time. Bye.